Well, hello friends, welcome back. So sorry we're back to my usual chaotic summer posting schedule. I meant to have a video out a couple weeks ago, but then some family stuff came up and I couldn't get my hair done and I looked too crazy to be on the internet, so here we are. I'm going to continue my series on personal values based on that quiz I took. I talked about it more in my last video. You can go check that out if you want to after this one. But today I want to talk to you about the idea of self-reliance and why it's so important. I really want to start off by discussing what self-reliance means to me because I think that for a lot of people it means a lot of different things, and I know many people have this idea that self-reliance is, I don't need anyone and I can do everything by myself and I don't need any help, and that's all wonderful to be able to do, but I think also self-reliance is more, for me, internal. It's an emotional state versus a solitary lifestyle. You know how I feel about community. It is one of my core values, and I talk about it to no end on this channel. So I think we all know how I feel about community, and self-reliance plays into community in a really interesting way, and I want to get into that in this video. But for me, the really true importance of self-reliance is understanding that you are the kind of person you can count on. And I made a whole video about that. I will link it down below because I'm not very good at putting cards in the video. I don't know how to do that yet. So here we are. But becoming the kind of person that you can count on, trusting the way that you make decisions, trusting the way that you interpret the information about your life in a way to set you up to make the best decisions with the most integrity, is self-reliance. You need to be able to understand that you are someone you can count on. And when turbulent times come up, and when you are feeling stressed and like you don't know what to do, if you have self-reliance, if you can count on yourself to make the right calls and to understand that you have the tools to do the things that you need to get done, then you will be self-reliant, and you can understand how that will play out in other parts of your life and how you can show up better for other people and help them be more self-reliant by being an emotionally sound person for them to approach. And in doing so, when you become self-reliant emotionally, it also is a part of community, because to be self-reliant is to understand in part that when you are unable to care for yourself in the right way, or you're feeling emotionally vulnerable or physically vulnerable, is to set up a support network and create those structures in your life that allow you to have the space to have someone to vent to, or someone you can bounce your ideas off of that you trust and you care about. And that is really important, because you then know that there are other people that you can count on in your times of need, and that you don't always have to be super strong, because I think that creates a weak foundation. It's very important to be able to take care of yourself and to always be able to, know that you're making the right choices, but it's also very important to understand when you're going to need support and to create a great foundation of good community, of like-minded people, not people who think identically to you, because that's never going to get you where you need to be, but creating an environment where you can be vulnerable with each other. So I necessarily don't have 20 friends, right? But I do have a handful of people that I rely on when needed, and I know that I can trust them implicitly. They are always going to be in my corner. They're always going to have my back. They're going to support me when I need it. And most importantly, they're going to call me out when I need it too. You need someone sometimes to just give you a reality check. And that's really important. And that is where community plays into self-reliance, because we can all be very strong individuals, and when we're all very strong individuals in a community, we create something that's worthwhile, and we create something that lasts, and we create something of value where we can all approach the world with our own viewpoints and our own life experiences and our own ways of being strong. And we can create something where everyone knows that they have the tools and resources they need to be the best versions of themselves and to show up in a meaningful way for the people around them. And that is so important to me, and I think that's why self-reliance ended up on one of my core values. But another part of that too is just being strong on your own, and it is understanding that sometimes you're going to have to make hard calls and that you're going to have to do stuff you don't enjoy doing. I am right now in the process of getting my life together, which is a phrase that I don't love. But I sort of lost focus. I've been pretty open about it on this channel over the last few months. I just haven't been taking care of my physical self in the best way. I've been neglecting my goals and, inconsistent with my content, and just like, I'm just not feeling good about myself, like physically, mentally. It's getting better, but I need to get myself back into a space where I can rely on myself to make those good choices, because right now I don't. And so I have friends that I was like, hey, can you call me out, and like at the end of the day, can you make sure I've done XYZ? I'll text my best friend like, hey, I need you to text me at 6 o'clock today and be like, did you take out your recycling? Did you go for a walk? Did you do this stuff? Because I need to be accountable. And that is self-reliance, because asking for that help to make sure that I'm accountable for the things that I need to do is relying on myself to know that maybe I won't do it if I don't have a push. And so you need to recognize when you need support. You need to recognize, first of all, where you're not being the best version of yourself, where you're not being honest with yourself, because self-reliance is honesty. Because if you're going to delude yourself into thinking that everything is fine and everything you're doing is fine and everything's great, then you're not relying on yourself. You're no longer the kind of person you can count on. And sometimes you just have to show up and do the stuff you don't want to do. I think this can have such a negative connotation too for a lot of people, is this idea of being too independent or being too emotionally unavailable. And I've been told by partners in the past that like, you're like annoyingly independent and you don't ask me for help and you don't do all this stuff. And I mean, I was an only child, I'm an introvert, I'm all of these things, and so I naturally just inclined to be that way, but it is hard sometimes to step out of that mindset, and it can go too far. And so self-reliance needs to be an emotional state for people, more so than this idea of like a man in the woods chopping his own wood and hunting and doing whatever, because that is self-reliance. That is a wonderful thing, but for most people, in the context of how we live our lives day to day, that isn't gonna work. You're not gonna be able to pull that off, right? So we have to adapt how self-reliance works for us, and to create space for ourselves where we can recognize where we need to start calling ourselves out on our nonsense. I spent the whole winter laying on my couch doing absolutely nothing. I got out of shape. I got really, just not feeling good. And I had to sit down and look at yourself and go like, this is not where you want to be. This is not what you want to be doing, and you're not feeling good about yourself, so maybe get back to doing your yoga and get back to going outside and taking care of yourself properly, because that's very important for me. And you just have to be able to recognize that you have all the tools you need. You have the ability to do these things for yourself. You are a fully capable and realized human being. You just sometimes need to recognize when you have forgotten that. And I forgot that, and I wasn't doing great. And so I'm part of why I did this test, and I was super excited to have this experience with my stepmom and going over these things, is because it helped me refocus. It helped me remind me of the things that are important, of what I care about, why I make this content, why I want to do all of this stuff, right? Because I think that it's so easy to be so pessimistic, and self-reliance can bleed into a sort of pessimism, and we need to get away from that, and we need to understand that we as a society and we as individuals have the opportunity to change things in the world that we don't enjoy, and to make a better place where people can enjoy themselves and have fulfilling lives and do all of that. But we need to recognize within ourselves that we have the ability to do that first. So hopefully this made some sense to you. I'm really going to try and be more consistent about posting. They've got a lot of traveling coming up this summer. There's a lot going on, so we may be looking at videos every other week, but I will keep you guys updated. You can check me out on social media. My Instagram is more of like a personal thing. It's not a ton of stuff related to this content, but check me out there. Hit me in my DMs. I love chatting with any of you if you're not super weird about it, because if you're going to be weird about it, I'm going to block you. But yeah, you can check me out there. My website is still like under construction, so keep an eye out for that. The blogs will be coming back. I just am like redoing the whole thing because I was staring at it one day and I was like, don't love that. So yeah, if you like this video, please like it. If you want to check out more of my content, go to my channel. I've got lots of other stuff on a variety of topics. And if you want to subscribe and come along on the journey, please do. I would love to have more conversations with any of you that want to be chatting about this kind of stuff. Let me know what you think. What does self-reliance mean to you, and how do you like endeavor to incorporate that into your life? As always, I'm super happy to have you here. Thanks for watching to the end, and I'll catch you in the next one.